We could go ahead with our invocation if you're ready to do that.
Sure.
Could you introduce yourself
Yes.
to everyone?
Yes, absolutely. I am Amy Barber, pastor at Perry Church of the Nazarene. So thank you for letting me be here with you guys again.
Thank you for being here.
No, I appreciate it so much. And obviously these are odd days, very trying and challenging days that we're going through globally and locally. And when I sometimes think there are so many big things happening, to me, keeping our eyes more on the smaller things can be what is very beneficial. Keeping our eyes a little closer to the ground, because we can't always have a big impact on what is going on that's so big all around us. And I think a place like this is a great place to start with being able to do something in this world. So I just thank you for your choice to do this kind of service for our community. Jeremiah 29:7 says, "To seek the peace and prosperity of the city into which I have carried you to. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper." And I think that is like a profound way to go into a meeting, to think of what we can do as leaders and as a community to prosper. Because if the city prospers, the rest of us prosper too. So if you would join me in prayer. God, thank you so much for your word that gives us a foundation of what to stand on, what to lean into, and what to hope for. God, I just ask that you would be in this place, that you would be with these delegates here today, Lord, that have chosen to represent the community. Thank you for the wisdom that you've already given them, and we just ask for more to come. Lord, we ask for good conversation and good discourse to be had in this room, but most of all that it would be peaceful. Lord, that we could come together with a common goal of the better good of what we could have in this community. Lord, we ask that you would help us to be able to all walk loving justice, walking humbly, and loving you, Lord. So thank you once again for this time and for this place. I ask for your protection to be upon it and on the lives that are represented here today. And it's in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again. Good night.
There she is. Right on time. Lovely, glad you're here. It's 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order and ask you to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shirley, would you take roll call, please?
Mayor Hammond,
Here.
Larry Lambert.
Here.
Mike Connell.
Here.
Bob Porter.
Here.
Andy Gallaby. Here. Kamal Ghazi.
Here.
Christine Gable.
Here. Looking for approval of our agenda for tonight.
I move that we adopt the agenda as printed.
Second.
We have a motion from Kamal, seconded by Mindy. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Looking now for council meeting minutes from January 15th approval.
I move that we suspend the rules, waive the reading, and approve the minutes from January 15th, 1926. I'm sorry, 2026.
Second.
Just like, didn't I type that?
Where'd I go?
Back in time. We have a motion from Indy, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Do we have anyone here tonight for a pre-approved report? I don't think we have any on our agenda, so we'll move forward there to public comment. Anyone here for public comment? Hearing none, we'll move into the communications. Shirley, do you have some for us?
The only thing I handed out was something I received from Perry Township, a public hearing for their planning commission, if anyone is interested, and just the recycling news from Lynxburg.
Very good. I don't have any reports for tonight, so we can move right into our department head reports. John, would you like to give us any report you might have first?
I won't be long. I have a little bit of a cold, so. So I usually do in December or 1st of January, a year-end report. We had approximately 210 missed dig locates that we did in the city for various stuff. 8 new service connections with new builds, and so I think that's like a plus for us. What I would like to say about winter stuff that's going on. Please be careful. I've had 2 people pull out in front of me in the last 2 weeks. And I mean, backing out of their driveway, never even looked, luckily I can see them. The guys have had stuff downtown, various people are in such a hurry. Every morning I listen to the radio and it's nothing but chaos across the state with an inch of snow. So I know nobody likes to be told what to do, but for your safety and our safety, so we can keep doing it and keeping your streets clear, help us out and pay attention a little more. Also, snow blowing entire driveways into the street is kind of, it's not helpful to anyone. There's a good number of places throughout town, you know, just, we don't put snow in your driveway to make you mad. It's just how it happens. I can't do anything about it. We could spend a lot more money in equipment and do what they do in Manitoba or Alberta, different places where they get massive amounts of snow. So if you guys have anything for me, other than that.
How are we doing on salt?
Pretty good. I got our seasonal backup. We did mix, for a few weeks when it was really cold, we mixed with sand, kind of extended it out. We should be in pretty good shape. My calculations, I figured it up yesterday, so we should, you know, unless it snows every single day until the middle of March. You know, I'm sure everybody's getting tired of it. It's
We're rationing, so it's just, the municipalities took all the salt for us. Private people.
Anybody else have questions?
ours was all contracted, so.
That's tongue in cheek, John, you know.
I know.
Thank you, John. Megan?
Good evening. Just as a reminder, as we enter February, that winter taxes are due here at the city February 17th. That's a Tuesday this year. Typically, they would be due on the 15th, but that is a weekend. And then the 16th is a holiday. So we will be open on the 17th to accept your payments. You can continue to pay taxes here at the city until the very last day of February. There is a 3% penalty added to winter taxes. We can take summer taxes till then also. After that point, everything is transferred to the county when we close out our roll for the year. I will have second quarter budget comparisons for you next meeting. I'm going to start working on budget prep and some kind of projection outlook so we can start budget work for the 26-27 year this month. The building authority is the group that was developed when we opened the loan to pay for this building. We met in December. We've completed the audit for that. That fund, the loan, the bond was completed 2 weeks ago. It's been filed with the state for all of our loan requirements. I actually just made a payment for the bond this week. We only owe one more payment on this building. It'll be due in February of 2027. And then we'll have to look to closing out the authority. What does that look like? What's the final paperwork to close out the loan and move forward with how we're going to support this building, maintenance, all the expenses. As you know, we put $25,000 roughly into heating and cooling on the main floor. We need to do it for 2 more floors, and about $23,000 into the elevator to upgrade that for safety reasons. So there is a strong need to keep funding like we were putting into the building authority to pay for the bond, but like maintain the building going forward. So we can talk about that as the year progresses and we start working on the next budget. I am working on a grant that I found. Shirley and I found it. It was shared with us through the SEDP. It's through T-Mobile. It's up to $50,000 and it's for like community projects. So what I'm focusing on is Jubilee Park, the baseball fields. I'm looking to write a grant to resurface the fields, put some basic dugout structures around for the kids. I don't want anything that's like closed siding that you can like hide in, sneak around. I just want shelter and like hooks to hang bags and keep it organized for the kids. And the third component of that grant that I'm applying for is a locking mechanism on the bathrooms that would be a timed lock system. We've talked about this before when we did the building security here. There just wasn't enough funds left over to do it for the parks too. I have S.A. Mormon coming out next week to give us a quote on what that looks like to put locks in the bathroom that we can either have timed or monitored, or we'll have to see what that looks like. I do have letters of support, both from the Youth Baseball Association, the Perry High School Athletic Director, and I'm waiting on one also from a local business that I know supports the youth program that uses the fields. That grant is due March 31st, so I'm going to work on that, which leads me to my next point. I talked with Kristen. We would like to schedule a park committee meeting for Thursday, February 26th at 6 p.m. Topics that evening will be to review the 5-year park plan, which we passed in 2023, so that's good till 27. So we should start looking at what have we accomplished through that plan, and what do we want to add for the next 5-year plan. If you remember, we did the 5-year plan. It's a requirement if you want to apply for Michigan DNR grants. You must have a 5-year park plan. So that was the main catalyst for doing that. So it opens us up for grants and just sets like a good map for what we want to do and see in our parks as we're able. I would also like the park committee to talk about Summer Fun Night, which is always the 3rd Wednesday in July, and other possible just park event ideas to get more activities going in the parks. That is what I have for you this evening.
Busy.
A little bit.
Anybody have questions or comments for Megan? That all sounds like great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Shirley?
Yes, the only thing that I have is I did send everyone, or forward everyone a training email from MML. If you guys saw it, if you're interested. I didn't look into it at all. It's just, I don't know if there's a charge, you know, we can address that when you register if you want to take the class. Utility bills, they were mailed out on January 28th. We've been getting a lot of calls this week that people haven't gotten their utility bill yet. So if you haven't gotten your bill, we don't know where it's at. We mailed it. The other, let's see, 2 more things. John didn't touch on this, but just don't park on the city streets during snow plowing, so they don't have to plow around your vehicle. And then we will have 3 council members up for re-election: Mike's seat, Mindy's seat, and Kamal's seat. And for will be in November, and then the mayor's seat will be available. Council members are 4-year terms, and the mayor's a 2-year term. And just more information on that to come. So, okay, that's it.
Any questions for Shirley? Kyle's not in town, he's at the Chiefs Conference over in, I think, Grand Rapids area somewhere. So he's not here, and I don't have any reports, so we'll move to committee reports. Mike Cannon has something.
Sure, the Personnel Committee met on January 15th to interview for the OEO position. And we interviewed Scott Mann, who's sitting right over here. And later, we're gonna recommend that the council vote to hire him as our OEO. He had a very good interview. Really seemed like what we were looking for and kind of had the mindset we were looking for too. So everything went well, and we're gonna recommend that he gets hired.
We can ask any questions of Mike or of Mr. Mann when it comes up in our agenda, I think. Any other committee reports tonight? Larry, do you have anything?
No, it's going to be just a couple small things on the agenda later tonight that we've
All right,
uncovered in some prior communication. I'll talk about them.
very good. Moving on then to presentation and approval of the bills.
I move that we approve the bills as presented and payment be authorized.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Kamal. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving into old business, brings up more discussion regarding the American Tower lease. And some information was provided in your packet regarding discussions that have been taking place about this, and that American Tower has 2 or 3 times now recently, since November, asked for consideration of a perpetual easement buyout. So rather than paying a yearly or monthly rental, if you will, they would buy that out for a perpetual, forever, ongoing lease. Most recently, I think you all got a copy of the email that came in from their representative, Kim Kidder. And after our response last time, when she said just send us what would be acceptable, what would council accept, and we responded with $1 million, she contacted me and said, "You're serious, right? You meant that?" And I said, "Yeah, we're very serious. We would seriously consider accepting that $1 million." So she did respond to us. It took her a little while to get the response out, but now she has sent this email indicating that American Tower has submitted their highest and best offer for the perpetual easement of the site for $480,000. And so they're asking for consideration by council. If that's of interest, your 3 options, as always, are to accept it, counter it, or reject it. Open for discussion.
I don't think we should accept it.
I don't either.
Because,
Even with $1 million, it was, like, is it really, but, I don't know, I don't think it's worth it.
I guess the one question is, the contract running out in a couple of years, you know, is there a likelihood that they're gonna want to negotiate a new contract or renew the contract, or, you know, if they've only got, I think, 2 renters on the tower, what's the likelihood that this is gonna continue on perpetually? They must think that it is to some degree, or they wouldn't come in with an offer beyond 2 years.
Yeah. She did tell me, and I think this was shared in your packet, that it's considered a priority 2 site. Priority 1 is the best site, priority 2. So we're not the best site to them. Although I wonder why that is, because we're a mile from I-69 and 10 footsteps to M52. You know, it's where people are using their cell phones a lot when they're in their vehicles. And, but for whatever reason, she says it's priority 2 site with 2 carriers on the tower. And would they renew it? So far they have. The original lease started in 1994. So it has been renewed all the time, and they have periodically through that time offered to buy a perpetual lease. So I can only assume that things would continue on. There was no indication from her that they wouldn't be wanting another lease. When we started discussing this back in November and again in December, we did get some communication by email and also by mail from a couple of companies who would be interested in buying the lease, because then they would lease it, you know. So there's always some kind of interest. I don't know. And there was no dollar offer or any indication of what amount that might be for. So that's all the information I have.
What has been the renewals, the length of each contract approximately?
10 years.
10 years?
And then usually sometime during that, they'll say, can we buy it out? And then they'll renegotiate it. You know, it's a mutual agreement. So, but 10 years has been the majority of the leases that I see.
Well, it's not close, the offer they gave is not close to the information you received just a couple months ago from the people in the know, who said 540,000
Yeah.
would be a fair
Yeah.
amount.
Those people in the know gave us the information that they use to calculate buyouts. An annual lease of 30,000, they would use a multiplier of 18, and that's where that 540,000 came from. But it's also a multiplier of between 18 and 22. So it could be even as high as 660,000. So between 18 and 22 doesn't match their offer, that's certain. But whether anybody else would be interested, we could only find out. But
And there's no way to know the future.
no, there's not.
And of course, they're gonna, you know, make it seem like, well, we're a level 2 or whatever the wording was in priority. Of course, they're gonna kind of make it seem like, well, you're not as important, because that's part of their negotiating tactics.
Yeah.
And anyone in sales knows that, but I always go back to the fact that they keep offering to buy, tells you in itself that it is valuable. And it's part of our budget. I just don't think we ought to entertain it. And also, this area is gonna end up growing. I mean, I saw it happen where I used to live in Commerce Township. It was all rural and fields and farms, and, you know, now, back in the 70s, and now it's, you know, huge. And you see Meridian Township coming this way. This is gonna grow, and so I don't see that tower, the need for it, going anywhere. In fact, it will be more valuable as, you know, we expand and get bigger.
And here's the thing, if American Tower, let's say, nope, we don't want it, there are other people who will want it, right?
So offers.
Why sell it?
Yeah, I don't think we should take it.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I'm looking for a response in the form of the motion. You have options.
I move that we decline the offer from American Tower.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. I will let her know. Moving into new business, it is time for us to consider renewing our waste management contract, and we do have Cody here from Waste Management. He said he wasn't coming to do a presentation, but simply be here to answer questions. So, with that in mind, if any of you have questions for Cody, now's the time.
One question in the summary page that was provided by Jill Rowley, it didn't say anything about the option for a one item per week bulk pickup by the residents. It did include, obviously, the 12 dumpsters that we use here at the city. Is that option being taken away, or was it just overlooked in the summary?
Nothing's changing with the level of service. It's actually the same contract we have, which is 5 more years, so nothing's changing.
Okay, so it would include the
Yep, one,
optional one bulk item per week,
correct.
like it's been in the past?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you think we could get that added into this written contract before we sign it?
Definitely.
Well, I think that Jill said that this was just the proposal, she was gonna get an agreement, it wasn't quite ready yet, so
Okay.
that's
And
why
the,
she,
and the agreement is just like a 1 page, and it's gonna reference the initial contract. So it's
oh, the
mostly gonna have
previous
dates.
contract, okay.
So it's gonna have dates on it and all that stuff and some signatures on it, but it's in that 1 page agreement, it'll reference the original agreement,
Right, okay.
because there's no scope changes.
I have a question. The new contract actually increases by 55 cents. If you did the math, according to this contract, it goes up 5% for 3 years, and then it could be extended for 1 year. It should be 1371, not 1426. So I know things go up. I understand that, but it seems like it went up, and what is that, about 8% over what the annual increase would have been.
It should be 5%, exactly what we've done the last 3 years.
Well, it's 1426, and it, right now, the rate should be 1371, I don't know what it is.
We were 6% increase.
Correct, I did all that math,
Okay.
and now not saying my math is, that's not my strongest point, so I'm just, I could have made an error somewhere. Because by the time the end of this 5-year contract, we're over $18.
Yeah, I thought the 1371, Bob, was at the time we're in right now that's expiring here.
Right,
So we've been paying 1371.
Right, it started at 1220, and then it went up, so are we, is that what we're paying now, is 1371?
1371.
Okay, so that if you 5%, what's 5% tank? I didn't do
Well,
that.
the
Or 6%.
1426, I
We
did
were
the math, is
20
4%.
yeah, it's, yeah,
55
5%.
cents is 4%?
That's 4%, to
Okay.
go from 1371
Like
to
I said, I just did quick
1426.
math and asking
And then it
why.
would be 5%, if I interpret it
They
correctly.
did reduce it by 1%. from
For the
6 to 5.
transition, if you will.
Yeah,
But then it's 5% annually, so it's down to 1%, was 6 for the first contract.
Right.
that's why, like I said, I did, sat there at my office one day and did quick math and go, well, why is it 55 cents more? Thank you for,
That answers your question?
that's good enough.
Okay.
Is that contract for straight 5 years? Let's say we want to terminate that court contract at any given time. What is it that, can we give you like a 30-day notice, a 60-day notice, a 90-day notice? How does that work exactly?
Surely, it has,
I have.
one, I've never had it done, but there's like, if there's poor service, there's some language in there, which is, that's pretty common, but I've never had anyone do it. I mean, I live about 8 minutes from here, so there's not gonna be issues in this community, because I'm gonna hear about
Well,
it.
no, it's
Yeah.
not about service. It's
Oh.
about competitive pay. I mean, if let's say 2 years, 3 years, someone come and cuts you
Yeah.
guys significantly.
I don't think that's in
Do
there.
we have that ability?
I don't believe so, no.
We don't have that ability.
I don't think that's, there's gonna have to be some cause.
Okay.
That, like failure.
Well, that's the
yeah,
cause, that would be
failure
the
on-
cause, there's
I-
someone else who's significantly cheaper than you, that's a cause.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be failure on our part. I don't think we can, that's why it's a,
Yeah, but-
Contracts typically say
Okay.
that if you're gonna try to break the contract, it has to be for cause, for not providing the service, not abiding by their contract, not picking up the trash, not doing the things they're saying they're gonna do in the contract. It would be very unusual to find in a contract the ability to terminate it just because you can get it done cheaper someplace else.
And here's why I'm asking this. Per Bob, by the end of a couple of years, will be at $18 an hour, $18. So, why don't we add that to the contract, that language that would say in 90 days, if someone was to underbid you significantly, we have the liberty to just leave.
but that wouldn't be an underbid. You wouldn't go out to bid, you're just seeking.
Yeah.
Seeking,
You'd have to-
absolutely, seeking underbid, whatever it is, we're looking for, $18 an hour is a little more than, it's a little expensive.
$18 a month.
Yeah, it's a little expensive for the average cost, and that's what I'm talking about.
But we can't, just if somebody comes tomorrow and says, we're gonna charge you $12, we're in a contract with them, we would have to go out for bid for that. We would have to. We
No,
would have
no,
to.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, since you want that increase, if we're okay with paying it, add to us the language that we can leave at any given time. That's what I'm asking.
I would not support that. I would absolutely not support
The other
that.
option, if you
understand what
look
you're
at
trying
the
to
law,
do.
is if you don't want to support a 5-year contract, you do it at some shorter interval, 3 years, at which time we could then decide to go up and competitively quote it and see if they're still market competitive or not.
I think that would be,
Partner through a contract and say, we're gonna go.
I'm gonna tell you that I called the neighboring community. They use a different provider. They are charged more than this, and they're in a 10-year contract with them.
I question if $18 in, is it 3 years?
5 years.
Is gonna be high. I question that. I think
yeah,
if,
but the $18 in, add 10 years on it, that can be up to 25 or 30, the way that contract is adding up. I'm not looking for now, I'm looking for the future. That's where I'm coming with my angle.
You only look for the 5 years though, because at that point in time, if we're uncomfortable, council could say, look, we want to go out and competitively quote it just to make certain that we're still in line. Shirley did just a quick cross-check, it sounds like, to see if right now this looks to be a very competitive number. Because the other thing we've got to keep in mind is, you know, landfill charges, I'm sure, to them are, you know, going up and
Well,
And-
gas
and
and.
they're running a business too, and
Yeah.
they gotta be able to
Right.
plan.
Right.
You know, you can't take away their ability to plan for
Right,
things.
right.
And I'm sure if they started putting these clauses in, that if somebody undercuts you by a little bit and you'd start having communities pulling out, it would mess with their business model.
And they give us a lot of perks. They give us 12 roll-offs. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is, those things are like $900 every time you rent one. And they're just giving us 12 of them.
Yes, and I understand that, but the average income is significantly lower in the city of Perry, of the citizens. That's that's why,
Significantly lower than what?
them being able to afford the $18.
I-
I mean, like, I think people are
Kamal, I
struggling.
think you need to check that figure. We're not a low-income community.
It's not about being a low-income community, but the average person, it's added, I mean, like, we're adding, I mean, it's an addition to the cost of paying. If you're paying 13 and then it'll be 18 by the end of the period, I understand it's by the end of the period, but I'm looking for, in 5 years, if we were to get another 5% increase or 6%, that 18 will increase and that, I understand things has to increase. I just think shorter term might be a better option.
Their rate of increase may have to increase. They're providing this based on a 5-year contract. So come all back to Mike's point, if we were to ask them for a shorter contract, they'd have every right to come back and say, we've got to go back to the 6% or 7% annual increase.
Instead
They've
of
reduced the
4%.
annual increase amount percentage-wise from the last contract as it is.
We do have our one additional bulk item each week too.
That's my point.
That is a big savings to be able to put that one bulk item out every week with your trash. And then like Shirley mentioned, the 12 roll-offs that we do for our spring cleaning and our fall. Those are really nice benefits that we did not have previously.
And their guys come in periodically, check on us, make sure everything's going good, if we have any problems. And other little perks too.
I would say customer service is top notch. I know that they're gonna have a couple complaints in the community, but the second someone calls City Hall and says, I have a problem, I can get in touch with the dispatcher within a half hour and get an answer, a resolution, a solution.
Yep.
Different animal, I don't live in the city, I pay $35 a month for trash.
I paid $53.
I was gonna say that, if
$18 a month for trash.
you're paying,
It's a huge discount to have one service provider in your community doing that.
my personal experience has been really good with them. And just, driving around town and seeing them when they're picking trash up. I think they go out of the way to, if something spills, they're out there picking it up by hand, they don't just grab the barrel and,
Yeah.
they pick everything they got blown away.
Yeah.
I've seen them doing that, so I think they're worth.
And speaking as somebody who does live paycheck to paycheck, I don't think $14, $26, or $18 a month is too much to pay for garbage.
I think when you compare it to what you would pay if everyone had their own private
Yep.
service, it is less than you would pay if you each had to pay somebody on your own.
Before this contract, we had a different provider, and we got a much better deal with them. So we moved to Waste Management. So far, things have been pretty good with them.
Yeah, they've been fine. I had them in where I lived before, private, and I wasn't happy with Waste Management, but I haven't had any issues here. To get to Kamal's concern, we can say that I have no issue with the increase, but maybe we put a motion, we need to put it up to bid every so many years as a council, just to make sure everyone you have an idea of what's going on, not just calling, which is good that you called somebody neighboring, but at least get an idea, right?
Yeah, if we approve this, we do it, we've already been doing it near the end of this contract termination, just as a cross-check to see where
Correct.
the market is at.
We know in whatever the year's gonna be, that it's gonna renew, and we can put it out for, is it ROP? Request? RFP, that's for sure, for proposal, so.
I move that we accept and approve the proposal from Waste Management to extend the existing contract for a period of 5 years or 60 months. Per the extension, council agrees to a 5% increase annually beginning April 1st, 2026. The monthly per cart fee will be $14.26. Council also approves a revision to the fee schedule to reflect the increase. The increase takes effect on the May 1st billing annually.
Second.
And we have a motion from Larry, seconded by Mindy. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
And that May 1st billing is the utility bills.
Is what?
The utility bills.
Okay.
That's when we will increase the pay.
Thank you, board, for the support.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming by. You're welcome.
Be careful.
You get a pig.
Mike, would you like to introduce Scott Mann to the council?
Sure. Council, Scott Mann right there in the white sweater. As I said before, he came in and interviewed, and it was a really good interview, and I think we're on the same page as far as what we're looking for, and kind of had the same vision he did with how he'd like to handle things going forward, and I think it'll be a good hire. I don't know if anyone has any questions, myself or Scott or anybody in the personnel committee.
Just curious, are you a resident of Perry?
No,
No. It's not a requirement, I was just wondering.
Bennington Township. Just barely. Railroad, if you know where that is.
I think so.
I move that we approve and accept the recommendation from the Personnel Committee to hire Scott Mann as the Ordinance Enforcement Officer effective February 6th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Larry. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. So Scott, welcome to the City of Perry family.
Thank you.
You'll need to check in with Shirley for getting sworn in within the next 10 days and getting appropriate instruction, and she'll tell you all the stuff you need. Very good. Welcome. Thank you. Moving on, under new business, John wants to tell us about a sewer rehabilitation quote.
So we've been relining sewer mains for, well, probably the last 10 years. Maybe not every single year, but frequently enough. So the company that we used to use was bought, and I don't know, things went, and this was this new company here, SAC, the salesmen that we used to use, and the crew are pretty much with this. So I've had some problems on Madison, and these are just finishing up some dead ends, some blocks, and whatnot, where we have a lot of root infiltration coming into the mains. So if I do it all at once, we won't have extra mobilization and whatnot. They can build everything, come out and do it. It'll probably be done a day and a half. There'll be minimal bother to the residents. They take care of everything, door hangers to the residents, all that stuff. So.
That mobilization number that's in the quote may or may not need to be utilized then.
Right, that was if I had to
If you had.
break out a section.
Yeah.
We have enough in capital outlay. Well, we have 65,000 in there. The job is 66. I'm gonna pull 1,000 out of system maintenance to make it. So,
Is that North Madison, South Madison, or?
it would be from East Poly to, so it'd be North Madison from East Poly to Horace.
Oh, right from my house.
And then Green Street would be Rolfe Street back to the first manhole from that end, and let's see here, Watkins from First Street. There's a dead end going on South Watkins, headed back towards Second. Places where we've had issues, I mean, the issues keep coming, so I can't do them all at once, but this is part of, some of this will knock out some of the things that we're with our asset management and capital improvement that we're working with OHM, I'll be able to check some of these off with that. So that's where I'm at with this.
Do you have any idea when that might be done?
I mean, they'll work year round. I think it needs to get just a touch warmer. I wouldn't say February, but once this is signed, it depends on their schedule.
Sure,
But I'll tell them that it has to be done before
the spring.
June,
Okay,
end of June, so that it's in this year's
okay.
budget.
I move that we approve the quote from SAK to reline the sewer on Watkins Street, Green Street, and Madison Street in the amount not to exceed $66,000. We authorize John Souter, DPW Superintendent, to sign the quote.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have a couple of ordinance cleanup things to do. Larry, do you want to talk about those?
Sure. As I think everybody's aware, there has been some ongoing discussions here previously with Alan Edlin Homes about potentially doing something here in Perry. That has since come off the table, if you will, but in the course of those discussions, there were some questions raised about a couple of lines that we have in our zoning ordinance that were raised during a conference call that we had with some folks from that group and from IDE, and Rob Kehoe and Leland Scott, myself and Sue and Genevieve Cottrell were on that call and
John.
raised, pardon?
John.
And John, I'm sorry, he was on remotely. Basically raised a couple of issues relative to, like I say, spots in the ordinance. And it was recommended by Rob Kehoe and Leland that we make these changes, and it's been before the ordinance committee, and therefore is coming forward as a ordinance committee recommendation with the backing of, as I mentioned, Rob and Leland. Any comments or questions before I proceed? I move that we place the following zoning ordinance amendment 406, chapter 7, 3.03 lot, yard, and building requirements, table 7.03, dimensional standards for residential districts, and section 7.06, design standards, which reads as follows, be placed on the next agenda. The City of Perry ordains the City of Perry zoning ordinance number 406, chapter 7, section 7.03, lot, yard, and building requirement, table 7.03, dimensional standards for residential districts, and section 7.06, design standard B, are hereby amended as follows. And the tables, chapter 7, section 0.03, lot, yard, and building requirement, table 7.03, dimensional standards for residential districts, is being amended in the R1A zoning district only. At that point, the maximum height is being recommended to be changed under R1A to 25 feet for 2.5 stories, which will correspond with the requirement that already was in place for R1B and RT. And going on, section 7.06, design standard B, we're recommending that the item, the facade of all residential structures be at least 30% windows, be deleted from the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion from Larry, seconded by Mike. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you for that. We always seem to find things here and there that just need to be fixed, and that's good. Thank you, Larry, for the ordinance committee and all their time, and yours. Moving on to the next item, it is the resolution for poverty exemption guidelines for this year, 2026. We do this every year, but Shirley, do you have anything to tell us about this?
Yeah, just that we do it every year. Eileen, the assessor, uses this. This is, somehow she uses this for her board of review when they, for poverty exemption. I don't think that, did I make you guys a copy of the thing from the state? If you guys want a copy of this, you can read through what it is, but it basically just gives me the poverty guidelines, and then I just plug them in. Nothing changes in the resolution except the dates. And if I didn't, you guys can look at it. It's just a lot of extra paper, so.
Any questions for Shirley, or do you need a minute to review anything
I'm sorry, it's
before we discuss? Yeah, it is, it just always is. It does, just for those people listening who don't have a copy of it, the federal poverty guidelines used in determination of poverty exemptions for a family unit of one person is $15,650. For two people, it's $21,150. For three, $26,650. For four, $32,150. For five, $37,650. For six, $43,150. Seven, $48,650. Eight, $54,150. And for each additional person thereafter, add $5,500. Discussion?
I move that we approve and accept the following resolution. Whereas the adoption of guidelines for poverty exemptions is required of the city council, and whereas the principal residence of persons who the assessor and board of review determines by reason of poverty to be unable to contribute to the public charge is eligible for exemption in whole or in part from taxation under Public Act 390 of 1994, MCL 211.7U, and whereas pursuant to Public Act 390 of 1994, that City of Perry, Shiawassee County adopts the following guidelines for the board of review to implement. The guidelines shall not include, but not be limited to, the specific income and asset levels of the claimant and all persons residing in the household, including any property tax credit returns filed in the current or immediately preceding year. To be eligible, a person shall do all the following on an annual basis. One, be an owner of and occupy as a principal residence the property for which an exemption is requested. Two, file a claim with the assessor or board of review accompanied by federal and state income tax returns for all persons residing in the principal residence, including any property tax credit returns filed in the immediately preceding year or in the current year, or a signed state tax commission form 4090 poverty exemption affidavit. Three, file a claim reporting that the combined assets of all persons do not exceed the current guidelines. Assets include, but are not limited to, real estate other than the principal residence, personal property, motor vehicles, recreational vehicles and equipment, certificates of deposit, savings accounts, checking accounts, stocks, bonds, life insurance, retirement funds, etc. 4, produce a valid driver's license or other form of identification if requested. 5, produce if requested a deed, land contract, or other evidence of ownership of the property for which an exemption is requested. 6, meet the federal poverty income guidelines as defined and determined annually by the United States Department of Health and Human Services or alternative guidelines adopted by the governing body, providing the alternative guidelines do not provide eligibility requirements less than the federal guidelines. 7, the application for an exemption shall be filed after January 1st, but 1 day prior to the last day of the December Board of Review. The filing of this claim constitutes an appearance before the Board of Review for the purpose of preserving the right of appeal to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. The following are the 2026 Federal Poverty Income Guidelines, which are updated annually by the United States Department of Health and Human Services. The annual allowable income includes income for all persons residing in the principal residence. Federal poverty guidelines used in the determination of poverty exemptions. Family size unit, of 1 is 15,650, 2 is 21,150, 3 is 26,650, 4 is 32,150, 5 is 37,650, 6 is 43,150, 7 is 48,650, 8 is 54,150, and for each additional person, $5,500. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the assessor and board of review shall follow the above stated policy and federal guidelines in granting or denying an exemption, unless the board of review determines that there are substantial and compelling reasons why there should be a deviation from the policy and federal guidelines, and these reasons are communicated in writing to the claimant. Be it further resolved, if an asset level exceed the items or amounts below, the individual property owner shall not be eligible for a property tax exemption. 1, the homestead being claimed and personal property used in connection with the use and occupancy of the homestead. And 2, all assets up to a cumulative dollar value of $25,000.
Second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Bob. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Mike, for reading that. Next, under new business, we have discussion regarding the possibility of adding a new city administrator position. I believe you received information about this, and this is something that's been part of a discussion by a group of people who have met since November, 3 times, November, December, January. And those people are myself, Larry Lambert, Bob Porter, our Planning Commission Chair Genevieve Cottrell, and previous council member Misty Lytle, and the city attorney, or the past city attorney, Tom Bridges, are the people who have met. The meetings were initiated to discuss the possibility, at first, of hiring a city manager. Through the discussion and the fact-finding and the research that was done during those meetings, we kind of moved away from city manager and moved more toward a city administrator, if you will. Doesn't really have a title yet, but that's a general thing we're calling it. And in order for discussion to be held about that, why do we need that? What would they do? How much would we pay them? How many hours? And so forth. We do need a job description. And we talked to Justin, our city attorney, Justin English, about that, and he said, you have to be very careful not to assign any of the tasks that are assigned by charter to the mayor and council to that person. You can't overlap those things. And so he thought it might be best if he drafted the job description. And the committee, the work group, if you will, that met, thought that would be a good idea. So, Bob, Larry, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you're going in the right direction in the description, and even though I missed the last meeting.
Yeah.
We need to know what this would do, basically, and then we can discuss the rest of it. We have to know what's our intent. The rest of the council needs to know what is the intent of this position.
Yeah.
And that'd be the best way to get it there.
For the benefit of the rest of the council and things, the reason that we formed a work group, as Sue touched on in the first place, is that when we started the idea of a city manager, not only would it require council involvement, but it would require by charter a vote of the people, and which led to a lot of other changes that would have to occur in the charter, and we said, let's kind of back up, as Sue indicated, let's look at the idea of a city administrator as a way to begin to get some of the objectives achieved short of, conflicting with the charter.
Yes, and some of the things that we discussed, that, just to give you some idea of what the work group said the city administrator could do, would be to research and apply for grants, be they small or big, or multiples, or one big one. Oversee our ordinances, making sure that those are being kept, like Larry and the ordinance group have done such a good job of. Staying on top of a capital improvement plan for the city, because so often, when you apply for a grant, you have to show that capital improvement plan on paper. Making sure our master plan's staying updated. I would assume they'd probably attend the planning commission meetings and be a part of that, even though that person would not have any voting power anywhere. Those are just some of the things that we talked about. Some of the things that I actually wrote down that we talked about. So there was a lot of discussion, and but the big thing that was said then, if we're going to be asking the city attorney to do some work, which he will charge for, we felt we needed the council to approve that before we asked for Justin to be involved. Any questions, any discussion regarding all that?
Who does those things right now?
The only person that does some of those things right now is me. Previous mayors haven't had time to do many of those things because they have full-time jobs. I just have 2 little other part-time jobs, so I have a little more time to dedicate, but I don't even have time to do all that.
I feel like I've done a pretty good job doing those things.
Yeah,
I can send
yes,
the capital
yeah.
improvement
Yeah,
plan.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. I'm not done talking yet. Megan, as she mentions, and that's fine for her to toot her own horn, people should. Megan has done a great job of overseeing the training for the planning commission. She is basically the chair of the Parks Committee, is that correct? Are you chair?
That's what you appointed me as, yes.
Okay. And she has done many of these other things. But I think more could be done in every category, even though, yes, you have done a wonderful job, and I would not want to ignore that effort on your part. Does that answer your question, Kamal, or were there other questions you had?
Would that be a full-time, part-time, or contracted?
The work group said part-time.
Part-time.
That would be something that would have to be decided by council if the position is approved.
And this isn't asking for approval for
No,
a
not
position,
at all.
this is just
Yeah,
simply saying,
yeah.
the work
open
group is bringing
conversation.
forward to council the idea, and is there enough support for the idea to turn it into a draft job description, as Sue indicated, that doesn't conflict with any of the charter criteria, that we could then talk about full-time, part-time, what are the true job roles and responsibilities. One of the other things Sue touched on is, we've spent with grant money assistance and things, putting a master plan together, and had a lot of community involvement and input to that, along with, all of us in the planning commission and everybody here. So it says, is there an opportunity with this position to help take some of those things that are in the master plan and be focused on trying to move and drive those forward, whether it's getting grant money, whether it's coordinating with other communities, whatever it might be.
And who knows, perhaps in the discussion, once we have some job description to look at and to work at and discuss pay and hours and so on, maybe council will feel that it's not something that we need. But I do know my efforts have been limited by time, by knowledge of how you do that. I would love to see somebody in that position be attending a lot of the legislative meetings that they have where they talk about grants available. I do attend webinars online, but to actually go to the meetings that the SEDP has where they might have a legislator or somebody from their office come and talk about grants that are available. We did at one time, the city hired a grant writer, and we had one grant that he helped us with. But truly, Megan did the majority of the follow-up on that because it took a long time. And his research of grants did not result in him writing any other grants for the city. And so we terminated his employment with us. And Megan followed through on that grant. And that was a lot of time and effort, and she did a nice job with finally getting that done. What's the city qualification thing that
The
we're,
redevelopment ready
yeah,
program through the
Yeah.
NBC.
Megan has spearheaded that, the redevelopment ready program, and guided everybody through that. And again, that's something that person, things like that, they could do. Training, making sure people are getting training, webinars, attending things. I, as mayor, just have not had a lot of that time available to do that kind of stuff. I am here, just so you know, I am here anywhere from not at all on a day to 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, depending on what is going on. I find it difficult to find any time to devote to some of those things.
Megan, I think you do a wonderful job. Don't take this personal, what they're discussing. Because we may find out, once they write the description, that we've already have it covered. And maybe it's something else. So, there was a lot of thought put into this process. And again, it could be an expansion of a position we already have, it could be a whole new position. You've got to know what the parameters would be and what this person would do. Then you can say, oh, we already do this. No, that's a need. And we can't do that. None of us on this council have enough time to devote the time to doing that research and that, and knowing what that would entail. We don't.
Sorry, my last question. Who would that person you guys envision will be reporting to?
The
Council.
council,
To the council? So the council is a supervisor for that person?
Yes.
Or who's- Okay.
So just like, it'd be, I don't wanna say just another employee, but they're an employee.
They are,
Okay.
yeah.
So, the one reason this direction was chosen instead of like a city manager is because what Larry touched on, the charter, everything would have to been changed. You basically eliminate a mayor position, council stays the same, but they change the way they do things, it's quite involved. So this is kind of a Reader's Digest version of seeing if we need it and what it does, and then go from that point. It may or may not benefit the city to go forward other than this, and most everyone on this council knows that I don't like spending money willy-nilly on the attorney. I've brought it up before, but I think this should be, at least follow through and see where we're at with the position, then we can have a discussion.
the other thing I'd like to mention, in our research, that work group, each person explored other municipalities of our size to see if they had city managers or administrators or people on staff that did these things. And we did find, well, almost, I don't remember one that didn't have somebody, where, except the city of Perry doesn't, Perry Township doesn't, but most of the other municipalities our size do have someone. Some of them were a melding, like it was the city clerk / administrator, or it was the treasurer / administrator. One was the DPW superintendent / administrator. So, and I think there was one that was the police chief / administrator. So there is the possibility, if it was found that the responsibilities could be filled by others, that possibility. But then I think we really need to think about, do we expect people to take on, because these are big responsibilities, to take these on without providing additional pay for them,
Yeah.
so. But it's a lot of stuff to think about and discuss, but certainly hard to discuss if we don't know for sure what they're gonna do.
Yeah, this is simply a first step, to get enough
Right.
interest and support to take the next step with Justin to get something on paper that we could talk more completely about.
I move that we approve the city attorney to draft a job description for a new city administrator position.
I second.
We have a motion from Mike, seconded by Kristen. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Do we have any other business to come before council at this time? Council discussion or observations?
I have one thing, and it's, I don't think we can do anything about it or don't. How long do you think the pile on Main Street's gonna sit there?
The what?
The first time I saw it was Monday. How, has it been there longer than that?
No, I think that's,
Yeah.
it's an
Oh,
eviction.
yeah, so I don't think we've heard from have we heard from the people who took over?
No, but when it happened right down here at the end of Polly Street, the sheriff, I think we checked with the sheriff's office, and it was a specific length of time that they had to
Yes.
wait.
Okay.
A certain number of days,
Yeah.
And then
14 or something?
And
Maybe
then
somebody get a dumpster and put it right in a dumpster, that's what I've seen, not here necessarily, but.
And they'll post remember they posted a paper on the window or something, and you got the number for it last time?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
out there
can go do
too,
that.
so we'll do
It doesn't
that.
surprise me
And
that it's
we'll
like
get-
that, so.
We'll call them and get them, I know, it's a.
It's been vacant since October, at least October, it's been vacant since.
Yeah, I know that GPW shut down the water, I noticed that, it was dug up one day, that was a while ago, so. I was just curious.
That answer your question?
Yes. A
Any-
good non-answer.
Anyone else? Any public comment? Agenda items for our next meeting. We did get a communication from the SEDP that it's time for us to renew our annual investment if we choose to do that. So if we could put that on the agenda for next time. That's the only thing I have. Anybody else have anything?
Second quarter budget review.
Second quarter,
The budget
first
comparison.
quarter,
Second.
second. We do also need to set a time here pretty soon for a budget workshop. So we'll look at the timeline for that and see when we need to do that. Anything else? Anybody, comments, discussion? Then here at 8:11, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.